Hi, everyone, and welcome to Gigging Out, a podcast about the people and businesses leading the gig economy. I'm Dana Gagnon, CMO at Every, and I'm thrilled to welcome Reneta Jenik, founder and CEO of Foodom, to the podcast. Foodom is a marketplace that connects people with local chefs who can prep healthy meals for them. Reneta has deep experience working on product and go-to-market teams in big tech at companies like Intel and SanDisk, and she talks about the lessons from her career that she brought to launching a startup. She shares how she thinks about product market fit and scaling into new geographic markets. She also talks about how they're bringing value to the chefs on their platform and why being mission-driven is so important. I know you'll love this conversation as much as I did. Enjoy. Well, wonderful. Reneta, I'm so thrilled to have you here today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
Well, let's kick things off. Can you tell the audience a little bit about what Foodom is all about?
Yes, so Foodom is a platform where we're connecting chefs and families with medical concerns or just busy families to have chefs come and cook at their home, personalized meals for the whole week, fill their refrigerator, all of that starting from $100 a visit or $5 a portion, and do it on a regular basis every week.
I would love to hear the origin story. What led you to start Foodom?
Yes. So my career, I'm a tech operator. I've been many years in corporate tech roles, ranging from AI, managing technology products, and business operations. And over the years, I was working very busy. I have a family, kids, husband. And over the years, I gained weight and I was over 200 pounds and at a high risk to develop diabetes. And I wanted to take control over the situation, did not want to get down this path of getting, medicine and exposing myself to other diabetes risks. So I took control over my meals and I worked with a local chef. It was hard to find her, but I was very surprised to see her, how affordable she was. And she ended up coming to our home every week, cooking tailored meals, exactly what I needed, for $100 a week. I didn't even know that it's possible. It was very successful. I lost 80 pounds and turned into this perfect health as we go. My family still got their delicious meals. So from a complete chaotic place, my family suddenly switched to this calm, amazing place where we're healthy and much happier, can talk to each other, look at each other in the face. It was a life-changing time. And then when I realized that I'm not alone, 73% of Americans are overweight. Three-quarters of Americans are overweight. And then 40% are pre-diabetic or diabetic, which is a huge number. So it's progressing very fast. That's why I took care of myself. I didn't want to get into the statistics. I felt a mission, to help all these people in this situation. And, if I could do it, I can help others get healthier, prevent diabetes, prevent other complications that, will down the road cause a lot of hassle and hurt and cost, like heart diseases, kidney diseases, losing limbs or dying. And I saw that it's a huge opportunity. And I just couldn't wake up in the morning and go to corporate when I felt this mission calling me. And I personally believe that food can heal, but it also can hurt and can cause damage. And just for looking, the diet-related illness is growing in the US and also in the world, and it leads to a health crisis. So diabetes didn't even still reach its peak. So I decided to take all my tech building and operating skills and build a platform based on my experience with the first chef and make it available and make healthy food accessible for everyone in the US and worldwide later on. And another interesting thing is that at the same time, I didn't realize that when I started, but now I'm even, quadruple excited about what we're doing because we're creating new jobs. We're fully diverse. Our team, the chefs, the customers, our partners, diversity and inclusion are key. And also we're reducing food waste. And we're creating, this opportunity that it didn't exist before. There's so much goodness in so many different ways that it's really exciting me. Just talking to you about this, I'm getting excited.
I love it. I can tell. That's amazing. I think it's fascinating. So you personally had this problem that you solved in a one-off situation, but it wasn't easy to solve. When you realized that this was a problem that could help more people, did you start by like Google? Were you just Googling to see if a solution like Foodum already exists and there just wasn't anything? Can you talk about that discovery phase? And then maybe what were some of the what early days like? What was your initial MVP like? How'd you go about that?
Yeah, I developed the whole thing, the art of the itch, the arts. I did a lot of, when I realized that there is an opportunity here, I did a lot of research. I was still at Intel back in the day, and just researching and checking what's available out there, how people solve, this problem. Because I was looking for a solution for myself. I saw that there is no solution. The chefs that I saw were expensive, thousands of dollars. The platforms that just ship food to your home, you don't control the ingredients. The flavor is normally not that good if it's like for medical, specific medical needs. And if it's not for medical needs, oh my God, try and order delivery. You ask no butter, you get or no oil, and you get a whole scoop of butter on top of your food. And it was just a nightmare to get meals in any other way. So I already knew ahead of time that there aren't much solutions available. So that's why I came up with my solution. And I did see other families in the US. I found other people finding a solution like mine, but there's no platform for that, and no one actually figured out how to do that. So it's like a very sporadic cases here and there. So I did see that there is a demand, and then I did research on the size of the problem, the issues, how to build, how to solve it. And I decided to take a route of having an MVP with like an alpha version. I built the website on Weebly. It was just a few simple recipes there, put it together. And my goal was to get at least one paying customer, to know that I'm not crazy. I had also a wait list, but I left Intel. By then, I already left Intel and worked on this full time. And when we launched our alpha, we started to get order. I started to get orders. I was on my own. I got about 100 orders. Everything was manual. Our pricing was an Excel or a Google Sheets back then. I still use Google Sheets. And I calculated every order. I did it manually and then create in PayPal the invoice. So it was very, very manual, but I fine-tuned our business model through real customers and people that don't know me. And then our beta actually launched a few months later with our CTO today. So back then he joined me, he booked the platform, and we started to roll. So it was a lot of manual work in the early days.
What was going through your mind the first time someone booked a chef through your platform?
So through the platform, it was a progression. It started with people that know me and people around me in my area. So that was like people that were interested in that. But then the first time that someone booked that I don't know them, I was like, whoa, I texted them. How did you hear about us? I was so curious. Yeah, so apparently they were sitting on the bleachers in one of the kids' basketball practices, and someone told them that they had a chef over. So he went and, Googled us. We were like just about a month old or something. It was just freaking amazing.
I love it. Word of mouth too. That's like the best way to get customers in the beginning, right? That's great. How did you approach going to market? Like, did you start with one geographic area where you were? Like, can you talk a little bit about that and where you are today?
Yes. So today we're available in LA, the Bay Area, and the Greater Sacramento area. And we have tens of chefs cooking in all of those areas, mostly meal prep for the week. And they also do some small intimate events in people's homes. When we started, I started in my area, which is the Greater Sacramento area. And this is the first, obviously the longest time that we're operating. And as you know, in marketplaces, it takes time to stabilize a network. So I was experimenting and testing how many chefs do I need and how many customers do I need in order to stabilize it. And then pandemic hit. So it changed and shuffled our plans completely. But we kept on going. We didn't stop. We kept on operating, figured out. It took us like a bit of time to figure out how to operate in a safe way, so to keep everyone safe. And then we kept on going. And as we started to phase out of the pandemic and the vaccine became more and more available, we were already available in the Bay Area and LA. LA came a little bit later, just from word of mouth, and investors that invested in us also are available in those markets, and it helped us connect to other local dietitians, nutritionists, and partners in those markets. So for us, it's California is a testing playground to build our playbook, and how to open a new area and where to expand. Our goal is to grow and be nationwide and actually be worldwide. Once we understand how it works, the playbook is not completely done yet. We're still in the seed stage. But as we get to product market fit, we'll figure out, completely the playbook, and then we'll open a few more areas testing the playbook. And once it's done after Series A, then it's like, let's get enough funding to just duplicate it in all the major areas in the US and expand from there. And things change. The playbook changes over time in different stages. I do see that some things that work when you're early on might not work later on, and then a new opportunities open up. Like, for example, just like working with influencers, like celebrity chefs. Now I need to work with micro celebrity chefs that are popular in certain areas. But when we're nationwide or worldwide, we can work with everyone. So it's the playbook will change as we grow.
You talk about product market fit, which is obviously what every early entrepreneur is looking for. What are some of those signs? Like, what kind of metrics are you using to gauge that? Like, how will you know that you've achieved that threshold where you're ready to scale beyond California?
Product, there are different ways to know when you reach product market fit, but what I hear, we didn't reach product market fit yet. We're starting to see early signs of increased demand and chefs joining and getting booked even before they had like the ramp up call, which is in one area we see the signs already. But what I estimate, when I get there, I'll let you know how it feels. But what I hear is that it's just a huge wave that washes you, a huge hockey stick. And probably our supply demand, ratios are going to change as well. Currently, we have a little bit more demand. And as the wave washes us, our ratio is going to go down, and then we'll have to bring on board more chefs faster. So I'm preparing for that. Currently, we're good. We have enough. But that's part of the journey of learning how much is needed when, and on which pedal should I press, like which gas pedal to press on in our, marketplace. Another thing for me, there, how do you know that you got to product market fit? But also a measurement for success for me is more than just, getting the revenue and the customers. For me, it's also helping people like reverse diabetes or prevent diabetes. That for me, I don't know how to implement that yet into my, product market fit, metrics. It's hard to know, but we are working with a clinic, so I will have some data related to that. Yeah, and because it's still early on, we're developing the whole process of how to work with clinics and hospitals and insurance companies. And then another very important metric for me is also how many jobs we create for chefs, and how diverse is our community, the entire community, and also how much food waste we save. That's one of the metrics that 40% of the food supply chain is being wasted by us in our households. And by having a chef, you become much more efficient, your household. So we're actually going to throw away less food. So this is another way, to track success beyond just the regular metrics of revenue.
I love it. I mean, it really speaks to, you're clearly leading a mission-driven company. This isn't just about growth and scale. It's about the change that you're bringing for your clients, but also for the chefs you employ. Can you talk about chefs and how do you attract them to the platform? You mentioned micro influencers, but I'd love to just hear some of your strategies for adding chefs to the platform.
Yeah, that's actually fascinating because I'm not a chef. We have chefs on our team now. We have 2 executive chefs and a private chef and executive chef. Yeah, both amazing, phenomenal, super experienced chefs. And obviously, we're working with a lot of other chefs. So the interesting thing is that, first of all, it's very important to bring a real tangible value to the chefs. If you don't do that, they won't come. So we and we help connect them with clients. They're getting, high paying jobs and other culinary jobs available out there, flexible hours, and they do what they want. They meet the customers on a personal level versus like working in culinary, jobs where they're in the back, of their, in the restaurant, they're in the back, or if it's like a senior facility, they're in the kitchen. They never see the people. So they love the fact that they can see people and communicate with them. And they just, most of them don't know how to do that. And I'm not talking about the handful high-end chefs that already know how to do it. I'm talking about the millions of chefs, line cook sous chefs that are working in restaurants. Their dream is to work a little bit less, make more, and make it much more fun experience because they're artists. I look at them as artists. They create food. That's what I see from them. So what we're doing, we're actually, the way we're bringing them on board at the moment, what works very well for us is just job ads. We post job ads, they apply, they go through a vetting process and join. And then the other way is word of mouth. There are cliques of chefs and communities, and they're talking between themselves. And if one likes it, they tell it to their friends, and they come and apply. And so far, it's been working very well. Like I feel pretty confident that our chef playbook is pretty robust. As we go, of course, we'll add more things. We have a few more things that we want to test as we scale a little bit more. Once we're available in like 10 areas, I'll be able to test those things. Now it's a little bit too early. But that part, it's real value. We had a chef that said that he paid off his car. Some chefs they're busy like full time working on the platform. Some have just a few hours, 2-3 times a week. Full flexibility. They don't need to create recipes. They love it that they just come to the platform. They ramp up very easily and quickly and just go and rock and roll. We take care of all the headache for them. And they don't want to, they don't want to create their own recipes, or they just, let me know where to go, what to do. And then they get into their groove and enjoying. That's like the mass, market of the chefs. So I didn't know all of that. That's so fascinating to find out in this journey on Foodom and get to know all these amazing people.
That's super cool. I didn't realize that the platform is pre-populating recipes that then the consumers pick from and the chefs, is that how it works?
Yeah, that's how it works. So the consumers can come and they choose the dishes for the chefs to cook. And we had a few customers that said, hey, we want the chef to choose the dishes for us. So we tried it. We're testing, right? We're like in the stage where we're trying different things. And what we noticed is that those mass, market of chefs versus the high-end chefs that are like specific, executive, private chefs, or like, gourmet chefs, this is a special population. I'm talking about the broad market. They do not want the headache of coming up with recipes or customers asking a lot of things. And they're not sure. They want to change the recipe. Let's do this, let's do that. Through the platform, we streamline, we automate this whole process and reduce the noise for both sides. So we make it super simple for both sides.
That makes a lot of sense because it would be so personal, I think, if they had to come up with the recipes per family. There'd be a lot of discovery work you'd have to do, a lot of upfront work.
Yeah, and that's how we make it affordable as well for the customers by saving them the time that the chefs work on that. So they pay less. And then for the chefs, they can make more money because they don't spend so much time on preparation. So it's the chefs are efficient, the customers are efficient. And another interesting thing, so all the chefs cook all the dishes on the platform. And when a customer books a chef, they pay a certain amount. And then the chef is incentivized to be efficient and finish cooking as fast as they can, high quality, of course. So the customer will not pay any more than what they paid. So if a customer paid, let's say, $100, and the chef was supposed to cook 3 hours, I'm just saying, but they cooked 4 hours, they're not going to pay more. So we're actually incentivizing efficiency here on both sides. And it's a learning curve for both, but as long as the value is there for both sides, they come back and they want more. And they send their friends.
Yeah, how did you figure? I always love to talk about establishing a pricing model. Where did you figure out the sweet spot between, because when I think private chef, I think like that's going to be really expensive. But then on the other end, you have meal kits, which to your point, I mean, I've been a meal kit subscriber, and it's like you never really know what you're going to get, and it's really can't. It's like kind of affordable, but not. So how did you figure this out? I'm sure it involved a lot of testing.
Yeah, and by the way, you still need to cook when you get a meal kit.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and clean
True.
up. By the way, and clean up. The funny thing, I love to clean up. The cooking is less, but most of our customers, they do not like the cleanup.
No.
That's funny. So yeah, in the beginning of my career in corporate, I was a pricing person, analyst, and then a pricing manager in semiconductors. So I worked a lot on financial models, elasticity models before I switched to more of like the product and technology. And I saw how you open up big markets. So, and working at Intel, at WD, SanDisk, it's markets of like billions and trillions. So there are certain price points that open big markets. So when I built our pricing model as a customer to this, I looked at what's available out there and what pricing points we need to hit. And I started with that in mind, choosing the right recipes to get to these price points. And it's all about time calculation. There's a complex IP that we developed around the pricing calculation on the platform. And then the interesting thing, I tested a few things. I tested what's the minimum order, how much is the minimum time that chefs are willing to come to someone's home. And then I tested also the minimum price for grocery shopping service, and very interesting learnings. So when I started, the minimum order on Foodom was $30, and the chefs, the very, very first chefs, were like so, excited about the opportunity, and they said, "Yeah, it's fine, let's do it." Obviously, everybody ordered more than $30, so it was more of like a gimmick. But until we had the person that really used that, and then when we expanded to the Bay Area, the chef said, "Yeah, no, we're done agreeing to $30."
Yeah.
So he increased to 50, and then even the 50 wasn't enough, and then we stabilized on minimum $100 per visit, and I do see that most of the average is like closer to 170. So we didn't lose any business, and it's still rationalized and makes sense with the other market price points of meal kits, or even like Chipotle, right? A meal in Chipotle, that we are in a priced similarly or below Chipotle, which is crazy. A chef can come and cook for you cheaper than Chipotle. And then for the grocery shopping was also interesting. We started with $10. So the chef that came to my home, she charged $5. And I was like, oh, she's undercharging herself. I doubled it, $10. And then a customer told me, you should increase it. It's too cheap. And I checked also what Instacart are doing. So they're upcharging 20%. And it's delivered to your home. And here a chef goes to the store and chooses the ingredients for you. So it should value at least as Instacart, or even more, because Instacart, it's someone bags at a store. You don't know who bags your food. It could be like a kid. When they choose a bell pepper, they don't care. Let's just choose a bell pepper. But when a chef chooses a bell pepper, that's a beautiful bell pepper. So I increased the price to, it was 15, and then the pandemic hit. And then customers asked the chefs to clean their groceries. So we said, okay, that's really time intensive, like consuming. So I increased it to 35. Pandemic over, but everybody's paying 35, and like 70% of the orders are with grocery shopping. So we just kept it at 35. That's amazing. Yeah. So, but I think that as we expand and we grow, probably all of this will keep on evolving, and we might have a few levels. We might be able to do some interesting, models of like, Amazon Prime, Foodom Prime or something. There's some ideas that we're thinking how to make this. But in my mind, first of all, I want to make sure that the chefs are happy, customers are happy, and of course, we're going to make our profit so we can keep on growing. But the impact of what we're doing is highest priority for me. We are, by the way, a regular C corp, but in our hearts, we're a benefits corporation. Just didn't legally register like that. But that's important, and I put it up front also to everybody I'm working with, because if they're not, then we shouldn't partner.
So you've touched on how you attract chefs to the platform, and in the early days, how you drew customers to the platform, a lot of word of mouth. Can you talk about now how you're scaling demand on the customer side? How are you attracting new customers?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a few interesting strategies here. And, some of them are obvious. Social media, of course. We're doing a lot of organic, by the way, social media, SEO. We have very good presence. We're doing some things around that. But the other very interesting things are working with corporates, local companies that offer us as employee benefit to their employees and pay for food and services. So their employees will get healthy food. It's not a lot of money for them, and it helps, it boosts their employees in so many different ways, especially now when a lot of cafeterias are closed. And down the road we can work with bigger companies that are nationwide. Currently we're focusing on very hyper local companies, and that employees, most of the employees are local in the areas that we're servicing. But that's a big trend that I see also for the future as the world transitions to hybrid, and many people are just working from anywhere. Um, Traveling, people can work from Costa Rica. Hey, why not have a chef come to you and cook for you? I did have a chef reach out to me from Jamaica, begging us to open Jamaica. He's on a wait list. He's on a wait list. Like, don't you have people travel to Jamaica? I'm like, yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, be like one step at a time.
Yeah. So that's one growth engine that we're using. The other one, the other one that's very interesting is clinics. So we're starting, engaging with clinics, and in the future we want to engage also with hospitals, where people that have certain medical chronic conditions or developing conditions, insurance will pay for providing them food as medicine, like medically tailored meals. And then the other opportunity here is with hospitals, where people are released home. The hospital, their goal is to keep people away from the hospital. Otherwise, it will cost them a lot of money to have them come back within 30 to 60 days. So actually, the hospital will be happy to pay for that. So that's another path that once we have a playbook ready, testing, working on that, then we can duplicate it in other areas to generate demand in a different way. And then we're doing some other creative, growth hacking, type of things, like going through schools and PTAs. In the areas we're servicing, I just now have about 120 schools that I'm testing this with. So we'll see. Already the first one already booked. I just started like 2 weeks ago, and already the first one is starting. So I'm curious to see the conversion rates in this kind of marketing.
I love that you're diversifying your channels so much and thinking of these partners, and the idea of a business doing this as an employee perk is brilliant. Like, how cool would that be? Because I do think, like, pre-pandemic, free meals. Like, I worked for a company that had employee lunch once a week. It was like a big deal. Everybody looked forward to it. And that all those perks have kind of gone away now. And we all rush to make lunch at home, in between Zoom calls, and it's kind of depressing. So if you had some chef-driven meals at your house, that would be a really standout benefit. That's super cool. Can you talk about what other lessons from big tech have translated to being an entrepreneur as you've built Foodom?
So that's very, very interesting question. So obviously, understanding and thinking big. That's like I was trained to be excited by big numbers and big markets, and I know how to run a P&L. I learned to do it over there, and learned to manage teams, large teams. And the other interesting thing that I learned over time is conscious leadership that I'm implementing in our team, where and by the way, in big organizations I was always there in those small emerging groups. So I was always like in this startup environment, but I had like deep pockets of the organization, so it was good preparation. It's just now the pockets, the deep pockets are elsewhere, like VCs or investors. Different types of conversations, which frankly, sometimes it's interesting. Like, actually corporate is not always as easy, and you have to go through a lot of hurdles to get the funding internally. So I was well trained for that. I wasn't trained for all the no's that I'm getting while fundraising. That was a shocker for me, and I think I recovered, and now I'm much more robust and know the process and how to do that. That was definitely something new I did not do before. But other than that, running a group, managing a team, building a product, which is very basic. Like, I did it before. That's one of my core skills of doing that. And I love doing that. If I can do that all the time. I know I can't. I have to sell, and as a founder, you have to do everything. But that definitely translated to what I'm doing today. And about the conscious leadership, also the way I'm building Foodom is an environment where like it's safe, in a place where we do have work-life balance in a startup. I know I work like crazy, like many hours, but I am careful with the team, where our the way we're communicating with each other, the expectations we're setting up for each other, and actually they're holding me accountable, by me telling them to take their time. They're reminding me to take my time as well. So it's like a very it's a good as a balanced environment, where experienced people in life. So we bring a lot of wisdom, and the way we do it. One of the fun things that I love, I call myself a Zen minimalist, which is basically like I'm very efficient and doing things in the minimum steps needed to get from point A to point B. That's awesome in startups. I've been always like that in my life. But in startups, it means you're burning less money. It means you're testing faster, iterating faster. And so that's my goal here, to do as much as I can with minimum effort, biggest impact, and then have the time to come home. Food is already ready, obviously. Every week I have a chef come over. I don't need to cook. So I don't need to be at home like early, or my husband doesn't need to be at home early to cook. We can just come a little bit later, so I can work a little bit more, and then we can look at each other in the eyes, and develop our relationship, speaking, talking with the kids, and it's not. It's like my life before that was so hectic and crazy. I think I figured out life, like as time goes by. And there's some lessons learned, as we grow. When you reach 35, you finally understand some basic things about life. When you reach 45, you suddenly understand it much deeper. So there is some deep maturity of managing a business and understanding priorities in life, and the team's priorities. Like all the team members are families, their parents, their parents. And I want them to be happy and healthy. This is why we're doing this. So we have to practice this and then spread this to the world.
I love it. First of all, I love that your product is helping you in your own life and that you get to experience that. It's got to connect you to what you're doing so much more. And just having that awareness for your team this early on. Because, startup culture can be crazy. Can you talk about how have you thought about building a team? How many hires have you had? Like, how did you decide which roles to bring on and when? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we have now, our founding team includes the CTO, of course, myself, the CTO, and we have a chef and a private chef. She used to be, she taught, she was a culinary instructor and a private chef for many years. She's responsible on the platform full time, taking care of customers, chefs, and everything culinary, so all the recipes and everything on the platform. So that's her domain and responsibility. We have another executive chef that he's full time working on recruiting chefs and managing the life cycle on the platform, and also operations. So he's helping us with all the tools, and we're now ramping up a CRM. He's leading all those efforts every time we have something big that's going on. Although he's a chef, he's a super chef, and. And then we just recently added a dietitian, registered dietitian, as we start to work with hospitals and clinics, and reach out to insurance companies to recognize our meals as medically tailored meals.
I would love to just hear how you think about competition, because I feel like how you view the landscape that you're competing with could be so different. Can you talk about that and how that impacts how you approach the business?
Yeah, so competition is great. Actually, competition validates the market and that there is a need. So it's wonderful. It's awesome. It also keeps us on our toes, and we always have to be the best. And you see now how big, other rivals are competing, Google, Microsoft. I wish one day, I'll be as big and I'll have competitors working in corporate. I love competition. It's great. And as long as we're doing what we're doing and we bring real value and we're doing it, the best way we can, we're going to be always there. The main thing is time to market. So we have to do it fast, develop all our network effects and have it all in place in time. So when a competitor exactly like us comes in, we'll be able to defend our position with IP, network effects, and other special things and sauces that we're doing. There are so many different ways to get food, right? We have to eat every day, a few times a day. So there are a lot of alternatives. But what I believe that eventually down the road, when having a chef come over to your home will be easier than popping a pill or a box of pills to stay healthy and functional. Then, and of course, if your employer will pay or health insurance will pay for a chef to come to your home, that will be a no-brainer. Why do anything else other than have a chef cook?
I always like to end on, a what's next question. Can you give us a little sneak peek, like what's next for Foodom? What can we look forward to?
Yes, so we're next is product market fit. We're on a direct path to get to this point where the snowball is rolling downhill and we're screaming, running, trying to catch it. It's so much fun. Oh my gosh, things are breaking and customers are like, everybody wants to book a chef. So that's definitely down the road for us. A lot of improvements on the platform on the way. After our seed round, we plan to also build an app. So currently it's a web-based and a platform. So that coming up as well. And new areas are coming up. Next, we have a few destinations. One of them is on the East Coast that we're starting, to think for later this year to test, the playbook. So a lot going on. And we're working on securing the funds to do all these big plans.
Love it. And if people want to learn more about Foodom or from you, where can they find you?
Yeah, so first of all, to learn about Foodom is our website, which is myfoodom.com, myfoodom.com. And I'm always available on social media everywhere. It's hard to miss me. But also, if someone wants to write me, my email is my first name, Reneta, @myfoodom.com. So I'm happy to chat and explore ideas and opportunities.
Wonderful. Well, Reneta, thank you so much for being with me today. I've learned so much from you. I love your background and your origin story, and I'm really excited. I hope you come to Salt Lake because I will definitely hire a Foodom chef. It sounds amazing.
We got you.
This podcast was brought to you by Every. We work with gig companies, marketplaces, delivery businesses, and more to pay their workers fast. You can learn more at every.com.